Things don't line up, things fall apart. However, if you share the mortgage information, everything gets underwritten before a contract's ever written.
The sooner he gives me that info, the sooner I have it, the sooner I can get it.
I'm a real estate investor. I'm sharing everything I know about Subject to in a way that complete beginners understand. This guy is John Pratt, our fearless novice, diving headfirst into the world of Subject to real estate deals. Watch as I start him on the path. I'm your guide, Kyle Kargas, and this is Subject to Real Estate Secrets, the path from moron to millionaire.
Welcome to Subject to Real Estate Secrets, the path from moron to millionaire. For those that are unfamiliar, a subject to deal is when you can go buy a house yourself, take over someone else's payment. The seller is able to leave because they've sold the house, they've gotten out of the way from their issues, and you didn't have to go through a bank. It's amazing. Welcome back, John.
Awesome, thank you.
Woo! All right, I am stoked. I am stoked. There are a couple good episodes in the mix right now. Today, I'm excited because, John, you are now making calls.
Yes.
Okay? And what comes with calls, I've told you that you need to be recording those calls, right? So the biggest thing that we're going to be doing today is you recorded one of your calls, and so we're going to jump over to the computer in just a minute here.
I recorded 4 of them for us to
Oh,
to look
fantastic,
at.
right?
Yeah.
So we have several calls to watch, and we're going to watch those live with you, and there's going to be a couple of benefits that we're going to try to glean from this, okay? Number one, I want to give you live critiques, okay, on how your call's going. That way you can very quickly adjust things, right? We're always trying to do multiple birds with one stone,
Yeah.
right? So that's number one, and people will appreciate that as well. Number two, you shot me a text, right?
Yes.
And you were like,
Yes.
so one of these calls, I'm guessing, was actually a deal that Pace Morby himself was a part of.
Yes.
That fell apart.
Yes.
Actually, right? And so without giving too much away, right, we'll kind of maybe leave it at that. But I want to be able to give you, why do I think it fell apart? So I'm going to try to give you an analysis of the deal itself. Was it just not a deal in the end?
Right.
Was there something unknown maybe that, you know, Pace is amazing, right? But if the person didn't share it, maybe there was something underlying that we need to try to find out. Those are my main 2 goals for you today, is I want to give feedback directly to you regardless, but also sounds like at least one of these calls, pretty cool story. And let's see, and you even mentioned in the text, Kyle, should we structure a deal? Can you help me structure this?
Yeah.
Right? Was that just, and we'll get to it so everyone knows what we're talking about, but are you just thinking, hey, let's structure a deal to see if we can get interest that way?
Yes.
Okay. Or were they asking for an offer?
To get interest that way. Yeah.
get interest.
He solicited it. We'll see. And I want to slate the context for these calls is they're terrible on my end.
Okay.
They are cringe.
As expected.
But something amazing is last week we talked about this, is how much information I can get out of them. That seems one-sided. How much information they're willing to share with me if I just ask about their circumstances or the seller's circumstances.
You mean talk like
you'll
a
see
normal
that.
human being?
Like a normal
If
person.
you just have a
Yeah.
conversation.
Instead of be like, hey, you want this thing? They're gonna say no.
Right.
Because they don't even know what you're talking about.
Right.
Like, so I just start talking like a normal human being, and I biff it. You'll see.
Yeah,
You'll
that's fine.
see a couple
Because
times.
guess what? Think about when you're talking to your friend on the phone, right? Like, you don't plan all of that.
Yeah.
Right? You're being real.
Yeah.
Right? And you're asking questions that you actually want to know the answer to.
It's guided by genuine curiosity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is the key to these conversations, is you're like, hey, you're literally trying to investigate. Now, the difference between that, you want that genuine, and then you use your smarts to know, don't say something sometimes, right, when it's not beneficial. Save that for maybe later, right? Because what most people don't know is sometimes you'll be on the phone and you have those friends that are like, oh my gosh, this is going on and on and on, right? Like, I'm so confused. My wife was just telling me back when she used to be on Snapchat and stuff, right? Like, sometimes with those like they'd send her a Snapchat and be like, oh my gosh, it's so long. Like, I can't remember any of the questions. She's just going to go on and on and on and on, right? And it's like, the reality is there is tact to it.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
You don't want to overwhelm somebody. Sometimes it's, what's your mission? Accomplish this, get off the phone. It's okay to have a second call later.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that said, John,
go.
let's jump onto the computer.
Awesome.
All right, we're back at the computer here. We're going to start watching the homework and give you that feedback.
It's cringe, but we'll give it a listen, yeah.
All right, let's call some people. I sent them a creative offer, and I put the cash offer back on my template so that if they do object to that, I can say, well, I mean, how about the creative offer? You want to talk to someone on my team about it? Something like that. Let's call this person. Hi, Don. My name is John at Trust Flow Capital. I actually sent over a proposal, I think it was yesterday, about the Horseshoe Lane property. Have you seen that? So I have some, like a creative offer, but then also a cash offer that your seller, I don't know, they might be interested in. I try not to send them at all unless I think I can help. Okay. Okay, hey, I appreciate it.
It was a little.
She owns it. She's the listing agent.
I hunted down her number because it wasn't in my LOI blaster, so I went and looked it up. And then I called her. She probably purposely excludes her number from certain lists. But yeah, she was like a little hostile. She owns it with her husband, is what she said. And she is the listing agent.
All right, here we go with another one. Hi, Andrew. My name is John. I have some offers. One is a creative offer. One is a cash offer. Now that I'm actually looking at it, the cash offer might not make enough sense for you, but the creative offer could. Can you tell me more about the property thing? I try not to send proposals at all unless I think I can actually help.
I talk way too much.
The only reason I send over a proposal for this one is because it has a pretty high days on market and stuff like that. Can you tell me a bit more about that? Like, what's been days on market? Okay. Oh, awesome. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. It leaves a bad taste in the mouth of the seller. Plus, yeah, who knows if it like. Do you know what fell apart? Like, did they not have a buyer on the?
Great question.
What happened? Mm-hmm. Mm.
I'll pause it here real quick.
That's the agent guessing at why it fell through.
Right.
And why it happened in the first place.
Right. But great job on your follow-up questions, right? You're like, hey, so what happened? You said 2 people have looked at it with creative, right?
2 people. One was Pace.
One was Pace, and they went under contract with Pace. And right before Christmas, he's like, hey, we had to cure them. Like, something like that.
And I don't know what cure means. Yeah.
Cure means is you have something under contract. Let's say you're supposed to close by a certain date, and someone doesn't close by then.
Okay.
You send out a cure notice to say, hey, you're in breach of contract. You need to go ahead and close. That could be closing. That could be basically it's anything in a contract. You're basically saying, hey, you need to fulfill this.
Yeah,
right?
It's a call out,
And then it gives them a certain number of days to actually do that. That part doesn't matter.
Okay.
All that matters is he went under contract and it fell out, and then you're asking him his best guess. Is he's basically saying, this is not a deal. It doesn't cash flow, etc. There's been 2 people that look at it. The only reason I could come up with why Pace was going to buy it was for depreciation.
That's what he guesses.
That's what he's guessing, because he's saying by the end of the year, etc.
Yeah.
And by December 23rd, the reality is it wasn't going to happen by the end of the year, probably.
Okay.
So if it was depreciation, that could have been the reason why it wasn't going to go forward anymore.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Mm-hmm.
just telling you all about the deal that they had.
Okay, so you're just days on market, actually pretty new because you relisted, is that right? I have to I'll respect that distance. I don't know, would the seller be ever open down the road? Let's say high days on market in 2 months or something, or 1 month or something. What's their motivation for selling? Do they need a quick exit, or where are they at right now? Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Hey, down the road, so my partner, he always has a buyer, and if he doesn't think it's a good deal, he will not pursue it after he knows it's not a good deal. He's not going to back out like that. So if they're comfortable down the road, would you guys give me a call? Sure.
That was a really, I'm going to pause it there.
I keep biffing it and then hit him with a decent question.
Yeah, but you did great because you took the pressure off. I mean, if they're open down the road, keep me in mind type of thing. Does that make sense? You weren't overly pushy. Now, however, I had two thoughts on it. They just fell out of this. The one question, and maybe you'll ask it, that I haven't heard yet was, oh, well, what were the terms?
I didn't ask that.
And you never did, right? Something really important here would have been, he did show hesitation, I don't know if they'll do another creative deal like that,
Because they were scared away twice.
Because they were scared away twice, right? And he was already hinting that, hey, this isn't a good deal, etc., right? Keep building that, but then be like, okay, look, I'm sure you already actually have all the information because you've already shared it. What were the terms on the other contract? And see if he'll tell you, right? Oh yeah, well, they're going to put down this much money, the mortgage balance, the interest rate, and the monthly payment. So you probably could have got all of that out of him because he is sharing with you. And this is a great example of what you mentioned earlier.
They're willing to share.
They're willing to share and willing to talk if you ask the right questions.
Because if they think I can actually help them, which we can help them, then yeah, of course they're going to share something.
And I love that you asked about the motivation. So what did he just say? Motivation was what? They already bought another house.
They already bought another house. They're cash strapped because they have 2 mortgages. So they could go one or two routes in their own mind is, look, rent out the first one that's right now presumably vacant. Or if it's a real good deal with a lot of cash up front, then yeah, maybe they would look at a sub 2. Also, a little bit earlier, he mentioned the assumption on the balance of the loan. And what he means is not assuming the loan, but the assumption of the value was, I think it was 250. The actual remaining is 134 or something like that, is what he said.
Okay. So it's actually owed a lot less.
A lot less than what the
what I
data
did
said.
hear him say is that the terms were different and changed than what everyone had originally thought of the mortgage. So that's partially why it probably fell out.
But he still, at that point, Pace still came in and gave a really good offer.
Right.
It just didn't happen. It just
so
fell out
that wasn't
for
necessarily
whatever
the reason it fell apart.
Sure, yeah.
But it still happened. So this is the other tactic I would say. One, I probably would have asked what the terms were, both of the existing mortgage. So when he starts talking about it, be like, hey, let me write this down. What was the balance? What was the interest rate? What's the monthly payment? And then tell me, what were the terms with Pace? Gather that information. So that would have been the first thing.
So the first house, terms with the bank, and then terms with Pace.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, what are the terms with the bank? And what are the terms that Pace, that you guys agreed to, right? And so just gathering that information. And then the second piece, I would have asked, I love your pullback, but it would have been like, oh, you know what? The way you handle this now, because your seller has now gone through it twice, is if they were to do it again, you would want the buyer to pre-underwrite everything. So that way there is no numbers, there's no issues. There is no backing out even possible. To where, yes, if we share all of this and it can all be underwritten and you find the real buyer, then, okay, it's a done deal. You don't have to worry about them backing out at the last minute.
You see where I biff it? With the end of my knowledge. So if I learned more about the offer or what variables are possible, yeah, I could have had a much more productive phone call.
Now I have
with this
another
guy.
point I want to make to you.
Okay.
There is an argument that you've already gone too far in the conversation than you need to.
I believe that.
Because remember, I want people that are watching this, your whole point is to set up an appointment. You're not there to solve these problems.
Yeah.
Your point is to set up an appointment.
So another place I biffed it is I failed to steer it toward an appointment. Be like, look, I got all the answers for you on my team, but I'm not the guy for that.
Right.
Do you want to talk with my partner tomorrow? I think I have some open time.
Yeah, and so what your balance is, on this case, here's the thing. Because there was already a problem and he's talking, that's great. If you would have at the beginning just been like, hey, okay, great. Hey, you're talking to me. I love this. You know what though? my partner's the one that knows everything. Let me get you on a conversation with him. You could have done that, but I don't think you would have gotten his buy-in all the way yet because he would have been disheartened still from the last stuff falling apart.
And this third guy is not even listening to me.
I actually think in this case, you need to listen and have those conversations. You don't have to go and make sure you answer them all the way. Okay? So when he starts, understand the situation.
Yeah.
So when he starts telling you about Pace, when he starts telling you about the other investor and except blah, 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 listen, and you could still ask if the opportunity is there. You could still ask like, hey, what's the mortgage information? What was the structure with Pace? If you don't want to though, don't ask that because even that is an extra thing. You could have just listened, been like, oh, okay, cool. The only thing I think that was probably imperative to say in this one to get an appointment would have been, okay, got it. You know what I think? I think if your seller were to still go with a buyer, a structure like this, you would want them to underwrite everything ahead of time. That way, you're not getting someone that backs out.
Because there's no surprises.
Exactly.
At that point.
Right. Before with Pace and everybody else, it's, hey, this is the general idea. Let's go ahead and go under contract. And then they will underwrite and look at all the numbers after. And guess what? If things don't line up, things fall apart. However, if you share the mortgage information, everything gets underwritten before a contract's ever written.
The sooner he gives me that info, the sooner I have it, the sooner I can get it.
Right. And then this is what I would pivot and just say, yeah, so actually we have no problem fully underwriting the deal before we would go under contract so we don't get your seller's hopes up. So in order to do that, let me set you up on a quick call with my partner, Kyle. He might have a couple extra questions, but you can go ahead and grab the mortgage information, everything, so that way you can have it ready for him. So when he gets off that call, he can underwrite everything and we can tell you whether it's a deal or not without getting the seller's hopes up.
Is it fair to describe you and our team here and to say that like every time? Like, look, hey, we can underwrite it first before we go under contract. That way there's no surprises, no one gets their hopes up before something potentially falls apart. We want to make sure everyone's on the same page, kind of get you on a call.
100%. What's your goal, John?
To get an appointment.
Your goal is to get an appointment with someone that understands there's only 2 check boxes. Do they understand what type of structure the offer would be, like subject to, not necessarily the term.
Right.
But the structure.
But they understand
of either
it.
taking over the mortgage or seller finance, right?
Yeah.
Right, or cash, okay? But they don't think we're a normal retail buyer. We don't want you setting up appointments where they think we're a normal retail buyer.
Absolutely.
But if they understand it's a big discounted cash offer, it's a subject to or a seller finance, that's the first box. Do they understand that's the type of offer we'll be talking about? And are they willing to set up an appointment to talk about it? Those are the only 2 boxes that you're making sure is checked. If those 2 boxes are checked, set up an appointment. But like I mentioned, sometimes it's all about building rapport too. So you're trying to find that balance. What does it do you any good to set up an appointment if the person doesn't show up?
Yeah, no good.
Nothing. So that's why asking questions and listening is good, but you don't need to, go and solve those questions.
Okay, so I can get info.
If info's flowing, feel free to write it down and share it with me.
Yeah.
But just know that once you cross a certain line, at any point now you can ask for that appointment. Don't let it go way too far, and obviously don't forget to ask for the appointment. All of a sudden, you can literally, John, get off the phone and you're like, oh my gosh, I gathered all this information, but I didn't even set up
handoff.
I didn't set up a darn appointment.
Yeah.
And here's the other problem. If you go too far, they're not going to understand what my purpose is. Because they're like, oh, I already talked to you and they already asked me all these questions. Why do I even need to talk to you? They're going to see it being pointless. Well, what's your purpose, John, on how you make me look?
Is to make you look like the guy that they need to talk to.
Yes.
To solve their problems.
So if you go too far,
it dilutes that value.
Yes. So there's a balance here. Okay, I want everyone to know that. You're the appointment setter. Perfect. You got someone right now, understands subject to, is open to pretty much talking about it.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, let's do this. Before we go too much further, because my job is basically to kind of set an appointment. I don't know all the answers. I'm not here to answer everything, but let's do this. Let me set you up an appointment with Kyle. He's my partner. He has all the answers and he'll be able to, he could, as soon as he told you that the problem was that it fell apart, I agree. I think I would have been like, hey, you know what? Let me set you up an appointment with Kyle. You can share the information with him and he can actually underwrite it before going under contract. You can always offer that.
Okay.
And then just set the appointment.
And then just to get to the appointment, yeah. With this guy, he's not an appointment, but I think it could be if I go call him.
I don't
after
think
this.
it's lost. I think you can call him back.
You'll see me go over my skis a little bit more.
Okay. All right, let's check this out.
Me together, like more so. Then I'll try and like get my partner's attention. He's very like he's always busy, of course. But go ahead and check out that offer. Obviously, that could be based on an incorrect loan balance. That proposal that I sent you, that'll be like the variables, just so you can see the variables, right? That I can help out with. So again, I don't send these unless I actually think I can help. So based on some of this new information, I can bring an updated proposal potentially and shoot that over to you either today or tomorrow. Awesome. Hey, thanks, Andrew.
So that's when I'll probably, since I see how I overpromised.
Yes.
I can't do that by myself.
Correct. Which is why, yes. So you went too far.
I went way too far.
You went too far, and all
Again.
of a sudden, here's the thing: you also overpromised that you're like, oh, this might not be accurate. But now the information you gave me, let me do some tweaks and re-update this and resend it to you. In all reality, we don't want to do that.
Just get him on a call.
Just get him on a call.
Yeah.
Why readjust it just based on another guess?
So what I need to do is after this, I'll call and be like, hey, I talked to my partner about this. He's really excited, but he needs more information. Can he talk to you today? Or can he talk to you tomorrow?
Yeah. After talking to my partner, it sounds like we just need to get this fully underwritten. That way the offer is based on the real numbers. So your seller doesn't have to worry about numbers not working out if they were to accept an offer.
Yeah.
That's the conversation, John.
Yeah.
Use what's valuable to him and what him and his seller want to get the appointment.
Yeah.
Don't say about you.
No, yeah.
It's about them. I talked to my partner. Honestly, my partner was like, just set up an appointment so he can give me the real numbers. I'll underwrite it and tell him yes or no. And that way they don't have to worry about it falling out.
You'll underwrite it, yeah.
Exactly. My partner will underwrite it. He can tell you yes or no without getting your seller's hopes up. Almost the LOI that you send, it's a soft offer like we talked about. We know it's based on probably inaccuracies.
And it says that in my template.
And then the next step is just to get the real numbers. That's why it's get an appointment as fast as you can. And in this case, it sounds to me, while you were talking to him, you could have said like, hey, you know what? My main job is to kind of set an appointment for my partner. It sounds to me like the next step on this would just be to have him underwrite the real numbers. So you guys can know up front whether this is going to work or not. You don't have to worry about someone backing out.
Because he'll underwrite it before
I think
we
if
go
you
on
would
the
have said
contract.
that, he would have
He
scheduled
would've
an appointment.
snagged him. Okay.
Right?
Hi, my name is John with Trust Flow Capital. Is this Angie? I'm actually calling about the South Kaye Vawanawi. I actually don't know how to say that, but the Vawanawi property in Tempe. You got a second? Okay. Like it's a miracle. I pronounced it correctly. Holy cow.
Good. Good start. That's good.
Now, I sent over a proposal yesterday. I try not to send them at all unless I actually think I can help. Have you guys been days on market for a while? It was one of them was a seller finance option or a cash offer rather, and then one was like a creative offer. My team can do like either or if it's helpful to you guys. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, which sometimes, because I'm part of a team, obviously, and a homesteader might not actually live in it at the end of my rainbow, right, at the end of my process. So those probably might not make sense when it's like low equity, which could be the creative offer, but if they don't like those right now, like, I totally respect that too. If I may ask, their situation, like, what happens if they don't sell it? Like, are they doing okay? Like, okay. Oh, cool.
House is paid off.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Mm-hmm.
Lowest seller would go is 430. This is where I pivot to her other listings.
Okay, real quick then.
Okay.
At the very beginning, seller's not interested, right? They've had other offers, creative offers, seller's not interested. So the one thing I didn't hear was, I would ask why. So that part of the conversation didn't exist in this conversation, right? Be like,
Biffed
oh,
it.
straight up, you could just say why. Oh, why? What do they got going on? You thought low equity, right? Which is fine. I think you handled later really well on the whole, you're like, oh, it might be low equity. And then she's like, oh, no, actually, it's owned free and clear.
It's paid off. So
it's
another
paid
data
off.
point was wrong. So I can't make that assumption.
And that's where it's like, oh, okay, great. Paid off. So it sounds like they can kind of almost do anything that they want to do. They're not bound by a mortgage. Sometimes it's complementing them. Well, then your seller has all the flexibility in the world. And once again, the biggest piece missing is the why, right? Be like, oh, were the offers that you were getting then based on like someone taking over a mortgage? Oh, okay. Well, what about actual seller financing?
Which is what she asked about in the first place. Because maybe that piques her interest.
I haven't heard the answer to that yet, right? And I think Bailey, it's like, oh, she's saying no to all creative offers?
She was saying no to, like, in my opinion.
Right. So if you would have the moment you understood that it was paid off, you could have re-asked again about seller financing in general, right? Be like, oh, well then, would they be open to seller financing then? Yeah, obviously I have it. The information I had, our guess that there was a mortgage on here was wrong.
Yeah.
Which is the whole purpose of my conversation here.
To get the real info.
Is to get the real info to see how we could structure this. I think that would have been really key. We'll find out. You're going to ask her about other properties and stuff. It's fine, especially after I critique you and everything, to call these people back.
Yeah, okay.
You can call them back and almost say the same thing like I talked to you about with the other guy.
Yeah.
Hey, so I talked to my partner, and I just wanted to see if it would be worth it to set you up an appointment with him or not. Lead with the appointment idea. I was talking to my partner, and I was telling him, like, hey, like, I originally thought there was a mortgage on this, etc., but you told me, this is free and clear. I wonder if I should go ahead and set you up on an appointment, because he thought maybe just seller financing in general might be a good fit. I couldn't tell him a reason why it wouldn't be. You would probably know best. Is that something that they're open to?
It's almost like permission-based marketing.
Yes.
That's what it really is.
Yeah.
Is they know that you're respecting that they hold the key to this. They unlock it.
Yeah.
Because they know you respect that.
Yep, exactly. So I'd call her back too. Call her back, tell her, and lead with that appointment. Right? That way you don't open the can for a huge conversation trying to answer all the questions.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, I was talking to my partner and something I didn't think about because I was looking at it as if there was a bank loan on it. But what about just straight seller finance? And if she's like, no, they're not open to that. Okay. Oh, well, what do they got going on? Paint me the picture because I think we're missing something. That's what I would say. I'm like, clearly we're missing something. What is she trying to accomplish? Mm-hmm. Is she trying to buy another house? Was this a rental or was this her house and she's trying to buy another one? And then because the agent might not be on board thinking she has to buy another house and it's impossible for her to do it. But we might be able to structure something as a win-win.
If I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like the agent might believe, which is probably common among agents, that if they undertake a seller finance, that they actually can't qualify for the next house.
There's a ton of assumptions that agents make, and they think, oh, even if this is free and clear, she might be thinking she needs all the money to buy the next house. But it might be, what if she only needs half the money or 25% of the money to go buy the next house, right? We might be able to structure something as a win-win, right? That's where those questions come into play. Once again, it's always about what's as few questions as I kind of need to ask to set up the appointment.
To get the appointment,
So when I call her back, I would be more straight to the point.
Yeah.
Talk to my partner. I told him how I messed up and I thought that there was a loan on this, but you told me when I called you that it was free and clear. And he thought, well, then why aren't we doing seller finance or owner carry? Just so you know, that's another term for it.
Okay.
In case
because the owner carries the note on the financing.
Owner is carrying the note, correct. So it's also called owner carry. So I would just say that, shut up, let her say it. She'll probably say, yeah, no, I don't think so. And that's when, don't forget, correct the second part is why. Use the word why. Oh, why is that? Sometimes they even ask why again. Well, yeah, no, it's just not something that they want to do. What does that mean? I mean, I can understand having a preference, but there's probably something making them think that way. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes 3 or 4 times of asking and digging to get to that real reason, right? And then we'll figure it out. So.
Data. Again, I try not to send these at all unless I think I can actually help. I think some of my data is probably flawed. For like other listings, if you have like clients who they're like high days on market, they just can't sell, maybe they want to sell quickly, I'm pretty confident my team can help with things like that if it ever comes up with your clients. Okay, I appreciate it. We like fast transactions, everyone wins except maybe the bank. But I guess the bank does win too, in a way. Yeah, the bank always wins. Dang it.
Good way. That was a good, funny, lighthearted way to end.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, thank you, Angie. I appreciate it. Absolutely. Have a good one.
Yeah, in terms of like the lighthearted ways to end or having fun with them, I could do that all day. What I'm like so focused on during these calls is like the technical details of what's possible for them. So that's where I'll grow the most over the next few weeks.
Exactly. And that's why I think having these calls recorded, having us going over it, you can see right now the why question almost on every call.
I get info.
You're getting some info, but almost on every call, I've been able to say,
oh, that I should dig more.
I would have asked why. Once again, it's a balance. Ask why only if it helps you get the appointment.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? And that's why I know it's hard, because it's almost like I'm giving you two directives. Stay as short as possible and just book this appointment. But then, John, talk more and ask more why questions.
Yeah. Only in as much as it books the appointment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's just always remember, the appointment is the end goal. Right? Everyone watching, guys, the appointment is the end goal for you.
Not trying to solve world hunger here.
You're not trying to solve world hunger. You're not trying to convince them to do subject to. You're not trying to convince them to do seller financing. They don't have to say, yes, we'll do it. That's not what you're doing. Point is the appointment of, like, with the first guy. If we could figure out, if we could underwrite it and it did work for us, do you think that's something that the seller might reopen their minds to? Okay, you know what we should do? Let me get you on an appointment with my partner. You can share that mortgage information so he can underwrite it first. That way we have that answer for you. And
before going under contract.
Before you even talk to your seller. That probably would have been perfect. On this lady, we just talked about it. It would be the seller financing. And the why. The only time you watch why is she was shutting you down. So you couldn't have just gotten the appointment.
The alternative is a non-appointment.
Right.
Then I
so
must
then
ask
ask why to keep the conversation going just long enough to when you first feel like you can get the appointment.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it?
Okay.
All right, perfect. All right, everyone. Thanks for hanging out. You think that was good, John?
That was pretty good. That was very thorough. It's beneficial for me. I guess selfishly, I don't care if it's beneficial for anyone else, but I know it is.
Right, everyone's going to be learning. So, all right, perfect. We have a killer one coming up next on the next episode. So stay tuned. Go check it out, guys.